Fox Business Network, CNBC, and Bloomberg TV are all competing for viewers who care about the markets. But it can be hard for many viewers to make sense of the fast-moving coverage, and especially when many guests seem to be pushing their favorite stocks.
You want to own fracking industry. You want to own anybody that goes into the production of these things. You want to own sand. You want to own pipe.
We looked at it real hard last night and this morning. We're going to hold on to it, but I wouldn't buy it.
Can I recommend level 3 because of the incredible numbers from Akamai? It was instant, though. It went up. But you know what? This company is back.
I sat down in New York with Maria Bartiromo, who launches her daily program Opening Bell tomorrow from 9 to 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. Maria Bartiromo, welcome.
Hi there. How are you? Good to see you.
And welcome to Fox. The wrap on business news channels, if you're an average viewer who doesn't know that much about the markets, is that all the talk about stocks, the financial jargon, beating expectations can be hard to follow. Is that a fair criticism?
You know, I think it is. I mean, I think that what has happened in business information is, particularly on television, is a lot of short-termism. And it's unfortunate because that's not the way to invest, knee-jerk reactions and fast decisions. But, you know, when I first got into the business 25 years ago, it was all about the markets. First, it was the individual investor explosion and, you know, people wanting to be armed with information 24/7. Then it was globalization and the dot-com boom and bust. All of these different cycles were focused on the market and what's doing in the stock market right now.
There you were as a floor reporter.
That's right. Things have changed quite a bit. I think today viewers don't want short-termism. And I think today viewers want a much broader, deeper perspective of where their money is and what it's doing over the long term.
You say they don't want short-termism, but I remember when I first started watching regularly in the late 90s when I was writing a book and when we first met, and even now, I see a lot of fund managers and analyst types come on, and I often have the feeling that they're pushing stocks that they have positions in, or maybe talking down stocks that they're short on, and it always makes me a little wary of some of that advice.
Well, I mean, people will tend to, you know, talk about things they like and talk about things that they're invested in. That doesn't necessarily bother me as much as the short-termism. I think today viewers are smarter than they ever have been before. People understand that the onus is on them to get armed with as much information as possible and then make your decisions. You can't trust anybody and everybody. You have to take pieces of information and then make your own decision about investing. So it doesn't bother me that analysts may come on and say, hey, we have a buy rating on this and this is why I like it, because they have a buy rating on it.
It should come with a consumer warning, and that's people like you obviously need to point that out. But now the stars, I guess the big get in your world and business world are obviously these corporate chieftains. You've interviewed, I think, everyone on the planet. How important is it, whether it's Jeff Bezos or Marissa Mayer or Jamie Dimon or Mark Zuckerberg, how important is television exposure for these CEOs?
I think it's important. I think it's still important as it ever was, because today investors are scrutinizing everything. They want to know their customer. They want to know who they're investing in. So having the CEO or the chairman or even Ben Bernanke come out and basically say, here's why we did all that QE and here's why we have been stimulating the economy, gives an investor more perspective, more analysis to, again, make their own decisions. So I think it is very important for CEOs, chairman, allocators of capital to come out and explain what's behind their strategy. I think it's helpful. I think, you know, when you see someone on air or on an interview and you know that person repeatedly is not answering the question and repeatedly is looking like something's gone awry or something's not right, well, guess what? It probably isn't.
The camera doesn't lie.
Right. You know, transparency is good.
You spent 20 years at CNN. You grew up there. You were a big part of building
that. Well, I was at CNN for 5 years. And then CNBC for 20 years.
Excuse me, I meant to say CNBC. And you helped build that channel, and it has a bigger audience. Was it a hard decision to leave?
It was hard. It was a tough decision because I had the most unbelievable 20 years of my life at CNBC. I loved it. And I'm proud of being, you know, a builder, helping to build the network, building out the brand globally. But I think after 20 years, I was looking at the next 20, and I was deciding what's best for me. And I realized that today, I think people are looking for broader perspective, analysis, this, longer interviews in some cases,
Was there
a little
pressure?
less short-termism.
Pressure to get people in the chair, out of the chair. Everybody's got a short attention span. Everybody's got a remote in their hands. So did you feel like you were kind of running through too many guests and not having enough time to do the in-depth stuff?
There is a pressure on having 4 and 5 people on the air at once, and then people start yelling at one another. I mean, that's today.
Hollywood squares.
Exactly. The markets are live, and people want information 5 minutes ago, and there's competition. So there was a pressure in that regard. But that's all good in some regard because it's giving investors more information. What I'd like to do is give more perspective, bring that Rolodex that I was able to put together, create, foster relationships on the air here at Fox to make sure that viewers are in fact getting an edge in my own way, in a little different way than I was doing at CNBC. And I think that there is room for many alternatives. People want alternatives, by the way, I think.
Competition is good in business as well as in every kind of coverage. You, beside being on the air for a couple hours every morning at Fox Business Network, you're also going to have a Sunday show, which is a very important program on Fox News because it's the lead into Media Buzz.
That's exactly.
So I'm counting on you.
I'm your lead-in.
How do you envision that program adding to the conversation?
Well, here's what I think about that. I mean, every Sunday morning you see so many politicos out on the air, the political conversation on Sunday morning. I look forward to it. I want to hear, what the talkers are saying.
There's a lot of spin out there.
But there's a lot.
Both sides.
That's exactly right, Howie. There's so much spin. And at the end of the day, very few people are actually connecting the dots. It's about the economy. It's about creating jobs. It's about business. Where is the growth? And that pertains to the growth in the economy, the growth in corporate America, growth in America. So I'm looking for the growth, but I want to make sure business is part of the conversation. I don't just want, a Republican and a Democrat talking on Sunday mornings. I want to ask that business guy, why do you have $1 trillion overseas? What is it going to take in terms of tax reform that's going to get you to take that money back to America? Why can't you find the employees that you need with the right skill sets required to actually thrive in your business? This is such a big issue that people cannot find the employees that they need. They can't hire because they don't have the right skill sets. All of these issues are really best answered by the guy or gal on the front lines, the person who's operating a business, small or big. And I intend to get business people as part of the conversation on a Sunday morning.
You've got your work cut out for you. Now, it's always bugged me that the tabloids here stuck you with the nickname, the Money Honey. And then at one point you trademarked it. So did you reluctantly embrace this label?
No, it wasn't reluctance. I was just happy to get noticed early in my career. And I never, ever found it insulting. I think I was happy to be noticed. And what I did.
You were operating in a very male environment when you were a floor reporter at the NYSE.
But no one really picked up the phone, Howie, and said, hello, Money Honey. I mean, come on, But it was something that the New York Post had a rhyme and they went with it. But the truth is I feel like my viewers know who I am and my sources know who I am, and I never felt that it was belittling me in any way. So I let it roll off my back, and I'm thrilled to have been noticed. It's not a big deal.
Okay, honey. Well, we will always refer to you as Maria Bartiromo.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And look forward to checking out Maria on Fox Business ahead on Media.